If y'all want a weekly, spooky scary Sundays, like button down there. This last story is called Babysitting Stories Animated.
It was during a blizzard in Valley Stream. I was getting paid $250 to watch some couple's kid while they went away for the weekend.
Hey,
his name was Matthew. This took place on the first night, which was a Friday night. Matthew was already supposedly asleep, while I was in the living room watching a movie. I got a knock at the door.
What the frick is you watching?
And looked at the clock. It was close to midnight. There was no way I was opening it. Not even 10 seconds later.
Open the door! Oh my god! Could you imagine it being like midnight? And then somebody just at your freaking front door like...
I heard the sound of 2 or 3 men angrily... 10 seconds later, I heard the sound of 2 or 3 men angrily banging on the door, telling me to open up. I felt like... How
many doors is out there?
Stop. I took a peek through the blinds, and there was somebody standing right on the other side of the window.
Oh my god!
I fell back in fear, and after managing to get back on my feet, I ran to the kitchen phone first thing to call the police. They said because of the weather, it could take a while for an officer to get here. I was told to take the child and hide somewhere until an officer arrived. They wanted to keep me on the line, but I wasn't thinking clearly in the heat of the moment and hung up. However, it wasn't until I ran through the living room that I realized the banging had stopped.
What?
I took a second peek through the living room window. Nobody was there now.
Oh my gosh, where are they? Oh!
I heard the sound of glass shattering from a few rooms over. My knees started to feel weak as I realized they had just broken the window and were about to climb into the house. I had to run to get Matthew. I couldn't just leave without him. Of course, when I got upstairs, there was no time left to run back downstairs, as I already heard footsteps and laughter coming from downstairs.
Oh my god.
I covered Matthew's mouth with my hand as I ran with him into his toy closet. A few minutes dragged on to what felt like half an hour as we sat there in the dark closet. Matthew began to squeal as footsteps on the carpet reached the outside of his bedroom door. There was more than one person. They came inside.
No.
There weren't many places to hide in this room.
Oh my gosh.
I was actually reflecting on my whole life, so sure I was gonna die. We heard the sound of a police siren outside, even from in the closet, and then I heard one of the men in the room mutter, "Aw, shit." I opened the door back up as I heard at least 3 pairs of footsteps hurriedly rushing down.
The police got there in about a hot 7 seconds. Let that have been Detroit, Michigan. Good luck. We'll be there in about 45 minutes.
Stairs. They didn't get far, as the police later found their footprints in the backyard, leading to our shed. There were 5 men in total, and they were all arrested.
5? Oh, this one is creepy. Why, his name is Maxie. I already know. First story is called I Used to Work the Graveyard Shift at Dunkin' Donuts. Yo, this sounds crazy already. You see they had to change it from Dunkin' Donuts to Durkin' Donuts. You got this story from Mohid, all the samurai. Take a step to the right. Move! It's me and Mohid right now. How you doing, my fellow? Mohid? How you doing? You doing all right? Thanks for sending the story in.
I used to work the graveyard shift at a Dunkin' Donuts. For those of you who don't know what a Dunkin' Donuts is, it's basically a donut chain that sells coffee, breakfast items, and of course, donuts.
This animation's so good.
This brings me to a little over a month ago when our location was recently selected to become 24 hours. A lot of other establishments would maintain a 24-hour drive-through window, but ours was fully open.
Dang.
I'll be honest, it was interesting to see the new types of customers who would come in during these hours. We of course had the hipsters and goths who had nothing better to do at 3 a.m. than to sit in a coffee shop drinking 1 cup for an hour.
What's it look
there
like?
were the occasional overworked businessmen and interns, trying desperately to finish that last-minute presentation. A couple weeks ago, I had encountered a new type of customer, though he is very difficult to describe.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever met someone that makes you nervous for some unknown reason?
Yeah.
Well, at around 2:30 a.m., a man walked in with a large overcoat, with the collar pulled up, and a black beanie on his head. What struck me as odd first was the lack of people in our lobby. Normally at this time, we'd have the goths huddled in the corner cursing the system or something. But the entire store was empty aside from this man, myself, and my manager who was in the back. Probably sleeping or something. After
hey.
this person walked in, I thought it had to be a homeless man, trying to escape the cold and possibly seek out a hot cup of pity.
Homeless man.
But then I saw his face.
He too well
He was somewhat
dressed.
gaunt, but cleanly shaven. His eyes had dark circles around them as if he were tired, but he seemed quite energized. He then walked up to the counter. At that moment, I realized how tall this guy was.
Dang.
Like Kobe tall. I asked him what he would like to order. He just stared straight ahead as if he were zoning out.
Hello.
I repeated my question a bit louder. He only said one word. Coffee.
Okay. I got you.
The man then leaned down and looked me in the eye and asked me if I was alone.
No.
I told him I wasn't, that my manager was in the back room. He then pulled out a few crumpled up dollar bills, handed it to me, and then walked back out of the door without taking his coffee with him.
What the freak?
As soon as he left the building, I felt this intense atmosphere lift up from around me. I quickly rushed to the back and told my manager about the whole situation, to which he told me to put the man's money aside in case he comes back for it. The next night, everything was back to normal. The usual
Yo, tell me this doesn't look like Steven Universe. Look like Garnet or Sapphire. I don't know them characters.
customers sat in their respective seats sipping their coffee. While I was keeping myself busy and mopping the floor, I couldn't help but think about the interaction I had last night.
Oh.
That's when I happened to look out of our front window,
Bro, what do you want?
and I saw him. He was
Your
standing
coffee
across
is on the
street under
counter.
a streetlight. He was just standing there staring at me. I turned to see if my manager was behind the counter, and when I looked back, he was gone.
Oh, this guy.
At that point, I was starting to feel unnerved. My last night working there was the worst by far. And also the reason I quit. I had arrived at work and relieved the people working before me. That's when I received a call from my manager telling me that he had a family emergency and would be a few hours late.
Oh, great.
I was upset, but there wasn't much I could do, so I just said all right. After 3 uneventful hours of me cleaning the same racks over and over again to keep my mind off things, I glanced out of the window once more.
Yep. You
What
know
I
who
saw
that
made
is.
my blood turn to ice.
You know who it is. Oh my
Man was standing
God!
on the other side of the window. He was grinning at me with a sinister smile that caused my body to seize up. Right away, I pulled out my cell phone and called the police. While my phone was ringing, the man did something strange. Without peeling his eyes from the glass, he pulled out a cell phone from his pocket. I watched him carefully as he began to type something into the phone without even looking at it.
Look at him!
At that moment, my phone buzzed, notifying me of a text. The message said, "Now you're alone."
Oh! Oh. So that guy got to the boss, killed him presumably, and took his phone, and then texted the guy off of the... Yo. Now this next one is called The Roommate, and it was uploaded by our good friend Llama Arts. How you doing, Llama? It's been a while. Now this was sent to us by Hiad, or Hiadsor, or Hiod, however you say your name. I want to give you a big arigato gozaimashita. The Roommate.
Looking for a new roommate is always a daunting task. Even though you interview and take the time to get to know that person, you don't truly find out who they are until you start living with them.
Facts.
I'd begun searching for...
Let me press pause. Let me turn this up. You get it nice and loud in the headphones, so it's
that you
a roommate after I decided to leave my
more
current
like it.
residency. I was contacted a couple of hours after placing an ad on the Facebook Marketplace. The message read,
Hey Chris, I'll be moving out of my current apartment this August and I'm looking to room with someone new, as my roommates are moving to California this year. I'm 27 and I'm currently going to school. When I'm not at school, I enjoy hiking and watching movies. I also apprentice at a taxidermy shop on the days I don't have class. Hope that's not weird. It's always been a fun hobby of mine. Anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. Have a great day, Lunaire.
Okay.
My first and most obvious reaction after reading the message was to check her profile. She was a medium height, had long, messy blonde hair and green eyes. In her profile picture, I saw her standing with a man and a woman shoulder to shoulder. They each adorned goofy grins and held up peace signs. Under the photo, the caption read, "Love my roommates."
Okay.
I smiled to myself and decided to send her a message back.
Hey,
The sun beat down on us
who was
as we
that over
hoisted
there?
various objects to the second floor of our new apartment. It took us a couple days to get everything out of the moving trucks and into our new place, but as soon as we did, a wave of relief washed over our sweat-drenched and sore bodies. After a couple more hours of rearranging, we each grabbed a
Look at
beer
the
from the
llama.
fridge and sat on the porch. We reminisced about old 90s cartoons and what video games we obsessed over as kids, and as the sun started to set, I truly felt relaxed and confident that things were going to work out.
but they didn't. Nah, quick question. How many of y'all would put out an ad for a roommate and accept a response from the opposite gender? Because I'm thinking, I put out an ad for a roommate. If you even a little cute. Guys, I'm joking.
A week later, I started a new job for a construction company that was owned by a good friend of mine. As I was getting ready, I heard the front door swing open. I walked into the living room to see Lunaire and her friend David sliding in a large box.
Hey, hold
How'd
up.
you got there?
Who is
I
you?
asked. Through a strained grunt, she replied,
I bought a freezer to store some of the animals I'm planning on using in my taxidermy work. I hope that's alright.
Nah, it's like you should have
I
cleared
was
that
obviously
before.
hesitant
It's
at
already
first,
here.
as there was no mention of this happening in the first place, but I eventually accepted and returned to my room to continue getting
She
ready for
already
work.
on that weird stuff.
I came home at around 9 p.m. after having a couple of beers with friends and noticed that the freezer was nestled snugly in the lower part of the pantry. A low hum could be heard reverberating off of the inner
Dang.
walls. I was curious to see what was inside, but didn't want to intrude on Lunaire's business, so I went into my room and changed into more comfortable clothing.
I'm taking a peek.
After changing, I came back out into the kitchen and started making a sandwich. I opened the fridge and grabbed what I needed. As I turned around, I stubbed my toe on the edge of the island countertop and let out a long, exasperated grunt.
Ouch.
Through my frustration, I slammed the fridge door shut and checked my toe to see if there was any bleeding. As I raised my head back up, I was greeted by a shadowy figure. Lunaire was standing in the doorway leading to her room. The darkness behind her almost seemed to envelop her.
Is everything okay?
She said in a deadpan tone. "Shit, yeah, I'm sorry. I just slammed my toe into the corner of the countertop as I was making a sandwich. I hope I didn't wake you,"
It's fine.
she said in the same deflated tone as before. She then turned around and walked back into the darkness of her room. I could tell that she was pissed, so I quietly made my sandwich and retreated back to my room as well.
Hey, Lunaire, you want a PB&J? I mean, I could make you one real quick. Maybe we can watch some TikToks after?
Only hearing the low hum from the freezer as I closed my door. I had the next day off, so I was able to sleep in a little longer than usual. When I finally emerged from my room, I walked into the kitchen to make breakfast. As I opened the refrigerator, I noticed that the light wasn't turning on and there was a lack of cold air escaping from inside.
What? She
I
unplugged
turned
it?
around and flipped the light switch to confirm my suspicion. Sure enough, the power was out. Damn it, I muttered under my breath. I walked over to Lunaire's room and knocked on her door to tell her about the power outage if she didn't already know, but there was no answer. I then remembered that she had classes that day and probably wasn't home. I walked back to the kitchen and past the pantry.
Why is it a
As I
padlock?
did, I slipped on the floor but was able to catch myself on the countertop. "What the?" I angrily exclaimed as I looked down at the floor trying to figure out what I had slipped on. It was blood. It had started to leak from the corner of the freezer and pool onto the floor. I quickly tried to open the freezer to find out the cause of the viscous liquid, but then I noticed that it had a padlock attached to it.
Heck
I
no.
don't remember seeing that before.
Lunaire gotta get
I
up
ran
out
out
of
to
there.
my car and grabbed my toolbox from the back seat. I approached the freezer and set my tools down on the nearby countertop. I then pulled out a small pair of bolt cutters and snapped through the metal of the padlock. It fell to the ground with a large thud. I creaked open the top of the freezer and was greeted with a putrid stench that permeated my nostrils. I quickly pinched my nose and walked away gagging in response. I guess I should have realized that was gonna happen, I muttered to myself in between gags.
Man
After
up!
gaining my
Look in there!
composure, I grabbed some gloves from under the sink and started taking inventory. I could see a couple of dead birds and plastic bags wedged into the corners of the freezer. I took each bag out and set them in the trash can nearby. That's when I noticed that the blood was coming from the corner of the larger black bag. I don't know why, but I decided to open the top of the bag and peer inside. I was greeted by large, milky white eyes, a swollen black tongue surrounded by cracked and bloated lips, and the matted hair of a human head. I swiftly dropped the bag and fell backwards on the floor. My breathing had ceased to exist, and I grabbed the trash can next to me and expelled my disgust into it.
Call the
I then
police!
ran out the door, got into my car, and called the police.
Good job.
As I sat in the interrogation room with a blanket over my shoulders, I couldn't help but think about the face I'd seen.
Cold?
It looked so familiar. That's when it finally hit me. I pulled out my phone and looked at Lunaire's profile picture. It was her old roommate, the one she said was moving to California. When the detective entered the room, she started the questioning process, asking me if I started noticing any weird behavioral occurrences around the apartment. Yeah, I stubbed my toe the other day and she creepily stood in the doorway. It seemed like she was pissed, but for some reason I had a strange feeling like she was concerned about something. That's when I connected the dots. She didn't come out into the kitchen because she heard me stub my toe. She came out into the kitchen because she thought I slammed the freezer instead of the fridge. A cold sweat started to form on my forehead as my surroundings became blurred. I could hear a low whine slowly starting to cover up the words of concern from the detective. As my vision started to clear, I could see another officer enter the room and whisper something into her ear as he handed her a piece of paper.
Oh my gosh.
"Do you have somewhere you could stay at?" she asked. I mean, I was planning on staying with my parents. They live about 30 minutes outside of town. Okay.
Can I stay
she
with
paused.
you?
Listen, I don't want to worry you, but we found this picture inside of your apartment.
Oh no. Oh no.
She slid the piece of paper across the table, and I immediately felt like someone kicked me in the chest.
She's standing over him.
The head of Lunaire's other roommate sat on the chair. In the background, scrawled on the wall in blood, read, "Love my roommates. All of them."
What did they do though? Now, this next one is called A College Horror Story, and it's another one by Llama Arts. I see you've been putting in work. Now, this was sent to us by Kyrie Supreme, and he said, "Welcome back, my man. This is for you." Kyrie, I appreciate you for the welcome back, my guy. And I would also appreciate if you slice that like button. Kyrie. Do it. It's good to be back.
It was an early morning. My campus didn't offer housing and I lived about a half a mile from school, so I started my journey as usual while playing on my phone. I glanced up to see an old man heading towards me on a bicycle. Normally, I'd
Excuse me? You're not about to be riding a bike with a suit? Where do I even start? Where do I even start? You might as well cut them 3 strands of hair off, big fella. Why are you riding a bike at 99 years old? You gotta... You got a suit on, riding your freaking mongoose bike. Your bow tie is purple.
step aside to let bikers and skaters pass, but he braked instead. I stopped too, wondering if there was something wrong. He walked up to me and said, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you."
Get back!
I felt chills instantly. I didn't know what to think. I just looked up at him with a fearful and confused expression.
Why are you standing there?
I was gathering up the courage to tell him that I was late for class and I should go, but before I could say anything, he said,
"Get off the grass!"
Looking down, I noticed I'd stepped over towards the road and onto the grass. I stepped off slowly and he said,
"You wouldn't want to step on any bugs or get your shoes dirty now, would you?"
He raised his finger and asked me what my name was. I told him, and he replied,
"Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you."
The same chills ran through my body again, but before I could say anything, the man said,
"Get off the grass! You wouldn't want to step on any bugs or get your shoes dirty now, would you?"
I looked down to see that I was back on the edge of the sidewalk again. This had to be deja vu. He asked for my name once more. I said my name again, but he interrupted me before I could finish.
I love the Easter eggs. That's that freaking nasty Snapchat kid from that one episode.
He told me his grandchildren are down the road and needed gas money. I told him I didn't have any spare change or any change at all for that matter. He continued to ask me again and I gave him the same answer. Eventually I headed towards my school. I turned to see if he was still there, but he was gone. As I was walking, I approached the intersection. There was a truck on its side. It must have tipped over while turning the corner.
He's a ghost. Boo! It says llama. What? You stupid llama.
If you want to help support the channel, head on over to the brand new Llama Arts merch store. It has new stuff available like updated t-shirt designs, a mug from the Sleepover Story episode, an embroidered hoodie, a llama pin, and even a llama plushie. All of these items can be found at crowdmade.com. Links are in the description.
Hey, get your money, llama. Your animations is beast. You deserve it. But I have a question. Wasn't that kid in college? Why do you look 12?